Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Sunless Skies, where things have taken a little bit of a turn. So I'm out here hunting Scorn flukes. My plan was to do the Whorlberry storyline and just bring the recording in at the very end when we get dipped into the mist to meet with the thing down there. But you can see here, I clicked on this option to commune with the Scorn fluke quickly before reading the text. The text here is somewhat different than it was on the last one that I killed. Convince your crew to impale themselves on spines. Commingle your choirs. One by one, your crew volunteer. One by one, they open their sky suits and press themselves against a spine of the dying fluke. The bristles pierce forearms, shoulders, in one case, a neck. Only one lingers too long and cannot pull herself back. That night, you dream of exile. You wake abruptly, bitter with loneliness, desperate for warmth. In the dead of night, you meet the volunteers in the engine room. Each shares the dream fragments that remained on waking. I remember my brother, sister, as vast as a church. The sky, bruised purple, black as stout. But the storms, as violent and beautiful as music. I woke crying. I turned toward the stars. I lost it. Was it my fault? I need to go home. We commingled our choirs. Success, everyone. I guess. I'm starting to have some serious concerns. I think it's possible that somewhere between the glass chest and the neck mouth and the spider eye and the in a fit of existential terror feeding the childhood friend to the fire that follows, Citizen Shore has begun to unravel a little bit. And unfortunately, they have, due to work with the Clerk of Sevens and time spent in the Blue Kingdom, and of course what could be gleaned from the Song of the Sky and Sister Patel's teachings, I would imagine a semi-functional command of the correspondence, in addition to the hearts and veils necessary to convince, apparently, people to do just about anything. We might have created something of a monster here. And fast forward a bit, I've done the things that we needed to do to please the cult in the off-season. It is remarkable how good Citizen Shore is at getting people to join cults. There's something about their enthusiasm, you might call it fanaticism, that just really draws people in to probably their doom. Also, I noticed this, we can enter Whorlberry without paying by distracting the officer with our perfect pangolin. You raise the perfect pangolin in defiance. Would he really make this face wait? The perfect pangolin must have been an accomplice to more than a few crimes. She doesn't look the least bit scandalized at your behavior. She merely steeples her paws and raises a beseeching look at the workers from the Bureau of Entertainments. As expected, they sigh and coo. It isn't long before one steps forward. Oh, no need to make the pretty thing stand out here. You go inside. They flash you a bright shark smile. But just this once, you hear? Honestly, kind of a perfect pet for Citizen Shore. We are absolutely taking a great big, finely tailored coat. Man, just make me disappear in it. There's no person left in here anyway. So we'll just slide across to the off-season. I think they want to let me meet their burgeoning god. And I have commingled my choirs as much as they can be commingled. They're as commingled as they're getting. So, let's head down to the church and see exactly what happens here. I'm pretty curious. They agreed to commune with your Scorn fluke. They who must grieve sent a dream. In it was your face wreathed in brass and kelp, and your eyes were the color of stars. I wonder if we actually look like that yet, because I think there's a chance. I do not know why they've asked you for this honor. They who must grieve are gods, and we are but the bacterium birthed in the gases of their breath. But I know they dream of you, and I know they would have us dream of you too. He passes you a bell, verdigris green and smooth as sea glass. Despite the clarity of its surface, your reflection is absent. Enter the mists and call them with this. Okay, I'm ready. I am ready to do the thing. You know what? At this point, I bet Citizen Shore here is not really feeling a lot of fear anymore. In silence, you are tethered not to ropes, but to filaments of green leather. Your wrists, your ankles, the joints of your arms and legs. These are lovingly encircled. It is surprisingly painless, even comfortable. The bedraggled parson himself fits a noose about your throat, his eyes hot with worship. Somewhere, far from you, you can almost hear weeping. Thus secured, you grasp the signal cord and nod to the cultists. You are rolled over the edge and lowered into the mists. This is not terrifying at all. Not the thin leather filaments holding your body, not the jerky descent into the fog, the cottony silence. See, I think this text was ironic for the Archivist. I think it might just be literal for Citizen Shore. But at least the cheerful cultists at the shore seem optimistic about your chances. Yeah, lower. You bounce your left wrist twice. The ropes slacken and you plunge with terrifying speed. The mists seem almost bilious the further you go, enraged by your encroachment. It churns and swirls, making faces, or what something that has never had a body might believe to be faces. Eyes bloom like so many flowers, accompanied by swirls of teeth and tongue. It's all illusion, of course. A trick of the cognition. Maybe. You know, our mirrors are still pretty high. I like to think we can see through that. You know where we gotta go. I haven't met my new friend yet. As you plunge further into the mists, the phantasms acquire more solidity. Serpentine bodies, piscine forms. Now it is an entire ecosystem of them, Ouroborosian and hungry and indifferent. Now they are the faces of those who'd forgotten. Now their bodies, teeming with coral and glittering beetles. Now they're watching you, and they're smiling, baby teeth bared between feathered antennae. And yet, one more tug, we're almost there. The mists become a chiaroscuro of hard shadows, halogen, and ink. The writhing halts. Almost, it feels as though the mists might be holding its breath, might be waiting, might be watching you. Or, perhaps, they're watching something else. Something brushes against you, a barbed tendril wider than a grown man is tall. It explores the filaments holding you, touches them softly, even as an eye, swollen and crimson and colossal, flashes briefly into view. Okay, this here is the option we did not have before, and I'm very curious about it. Soothe the Scorn Fluke. Silence its grief. You weep in sympathy. How could you not? Nothing in the high wilderness could ever be lonelier than the Scorn Fluke. I do want to underline here, while I think Citizen Shore, I think there's ample evidence that Citizen Shore has completely gone off the deep end in more ways than one in this situation, I don't think that fundamentally who they are has changed. They still want to help. There's still a good person somewhere in there. It's just that, the lens through which that stuff gets out has bent a little bit and cracked a bunch in places. You stretch a hand toward the nearest spine. It trembles at the contact, the oil-black calcite rippling. Suddenly, it is more tar than gleaming obsidian, viscous, ravenous for the warmth that lies embedded in your cells. Rills of black matter spread and grow, tugging at your arm, and almost you can hear it, the Scorn Fluke's loathing, its need to be something, anything but what it is. Just as abruptly, it releases you. There is only the echo of its despair. Really, is that it? Well, that's a shame. I was kind of hoping that would be a little bit grander. I get you, buddy. Need to be something, anything but what it is? Good news for you. You can transform yourself. Look at me. Let us behold it. I think we saw this text already, right? For a second, I thought that said space corneas, and I was like, yeah, that's first of all, that's an accurate description of its corneas, but secondly, what an extremely cool way to say that. Something is very wrong with this Scorn Fluke. For one, it possesses an eye, red-veined as though it had spent eons in ceaseless lamentation. The Scorn Fluke, its species usually possessed by a jagged geometry, looks diseased, its body warped and weeping with cancers, cysts of unnatural dimensions. Aberration that it might be, the Scorn Fluke remains a primordial revelation, ancient and so steeped in anguish that the air itself twists in commiseration. This isn't pain as mortals might know it, but something almost holy in its vastness, and entire cosmology of suffering contorted into a being. Yeah, that's pretty sad. Honestly, that's a real bummer. I do commiserate. I totally would try to commingle my choirs. Well, the parson gave you this bell for a reason. Time to serve a purpose. You ring the bell. It sounds like nothing, like the absence of music, like the glissade of breath before a soprano raises her voice to sing. It sounds nothing. Like that. And then, all at once, the Scorn Fluke is pressed close, skins width away. It is a diseased thing, pustulant and lacking in geometry, cysts and cancers and an ache like a heartbreak that has had eternity to turn septic. A tendril of black ichor extends to stroke your face. It is all you remember before suddenly you are at the surface again. I think Citizen Shore would feel super bad for this thing. Like, in a bunch of ways, we have felt what it is feeling. Well, I've done everything I can for you people. I hope that you are thankful. A new facet will be unlocked for future captains. Yeah, okay. Nothing new here. We did get a Crimson Promise. It turns out people are always crimsonly promising things to us. The cultists take you to the off-season, a parade of laughing faces, their most anomalous features swallowed in colorful silk. No reason to frighten the locals, after all. It is a party at the chapel, all the joyousness of a birth married to the fanfare of matrimony. The walls shudder with melody so profoundly strange that it grinds through the axial of your bones. There is something in the air, too. A smell as sweet as summer, and more intoxicating than love. It clings to you. It may stay forever. The cultists laden you with praise and presents, reassurances of a radiant future. A radiant future for someone. I think our own future is, maybe going to be a little bit weirder than that. This is one of the last little mysteries that I want to explore before we keep rolling Citizen Shore's ambition forward, because I think we're pretty close to the end of it, actually. So I went and got us another 3 moments of inspiration. Exactly 3. It turns out they're a little hard to come by. I'm hoping that this will be the last time, but I really, really want to figure out what is going on with the Thorn-Maiden and her ability to apparently conjure sunlight. I think that that's the sort of thing that Citizen Shore, now engaged in the business of dealing with suns, might want to know about. So, once again, the Rite of the Rose, the great mystery at Caduceus's heart. The Thorn-Maiden, etc., crashing over temple, golden wave. Okay, roses are in full bloom. Do we have a new option again? Is there yet more to see? There is, indeed. We have participated in the mystery of indulgence and the mystery of beholding. And I do feel like we've been basically non-stop giving of ourselves to the roses, but is it enough? Is it ever enough? Who knows? Let's, the rest of these options, on the other hand, are not new. Well, let's talk to the Thorn-Maiden. She might have some new dialogue for us here. She looks at you with a faint smile. Her attendants fade away into the cascade of roses as she bids you approach. No, the kingdom is almost at hand. You have almost paid your way. They have tasted of your tears and seen into your soul. She runs her hand down her stave, agitated. If you wish passage to the garden behind the glass, and I really do, leave a gift in a rose as they fade. Okay, leaving a gift. I guess let's hang out in the roses for now. We'll just have ourselves a little dream and, do all that stuff that we often do when we are here. I can't remember exactly what we get from all of these. Visions of the Heavens would be useful, yeah. Because, of course, we can trade Visions of the Heavens for more moments of inspiration when we kill Grievers. I think that's really the thing I want most. So let's just keep examining the roses until it's time to do the other thing. I know it's said about half of our time has been spent, but I certainly don't want to miss our opportunity given how expensive it is to start this thing. So that 5 Visions of the Heavens will get us 1 more, I believe. Okay, let's do it one more time, I think. This is definitely the place we want to be in. Eleutheria is the place that it is easiest to get moments. It's just still really not that easy. Okay, here we go. So now we want to leave a gift for the roses. As the roses begin to fade, a rose binder approaches. Come, give a gift to the insatiate rose. You are led to the hall of the drummer, where an emerald rose the size of an anemone blooms. There is a hollow at the heart of the petals, where stamen... Is that the plural of stamen? Hold on, I'm gonna look that up. It might also just be archaic, you know, they're real poetical out here. Stamen is the name of an over-the-counter drug. That is the only thing that comes up when you Google that word. Boy, I sure hope I haven't screwed up my targeted ads forever. I can't tell exactly what it does, but I do see the word male in the first result there. Okay, we're just going to assume that it's a plural of stamen, like this thing has multiple stamen. They're coiling like a nest of serpents. The rosebinder beckons for you to approach. What will you give the rose? What will I give the rose? A member of my crew? Citizen Shore must believe, needs to believe that they're out here helping people. So I don't think this would be my first inclination. Now, to say that I would not sacrifice anybody, obviously, you know, that's nonsense, but not the first inclination. We could pass off a piece of our mind. What is one more madness in Eleutheria? Or a piece of our flesh. You know what? I've had enough permanent loss of hearts. Sure, I don't need my mind. Who needs a mind? Kneel, the rosebinder says, indicating a silk cushion before the rose. You kneel. A red blindfold is wound around your face, and your head is pushed into the rose, which closes around you. You do not remember what happens there. You wake covered in nectar. Your eyes have to be pried open from the pollen. There's an aching darkness behind your eyes. When you sleep, you will go there again. You have given enough to the roses. Approach the Thorn-Maiden on your next visit. Okay, maybe we're about to find out what the hell is going on around here. Also, I agree, I have given enough to the roses. Let us come back from the rites, leave the rose binders to clean, and go and have a chat with the Thorn-Maiden. What is going on here? What is the deal with this place? It was an escape, now it shall be a union. 3 powers conjoined like serpents on a staff. That's not actually new. That's not actually new information, though. They said talk to the Thorn-Maiden on your next... Did they mean talk to the Thorn-Maiden during the next rite? Do I need to do another rite? You'll unlock this by not having any cold or lightless. I think we might have to do another rite. Well, that's a pain in the ass. Alright, I'll go get some more moments. It actually ended up not taking that long. You can look at the date down there in the lower left. It actually is remarkably easy to get moments of inspiration by just flying around shooting stuff in Eleutheria. There's something so inspirational about the murder of these particular types of sky beasts. Anyway, before we go and spend our moments of inspiration, let's just one more time talk to the Thorn-Maiden. For real. Any information, anything you want to say to me? No? Okay. Well, let's just have ourselves another rose right here. I'm not sure if I think anything new is going to happen. We might just get a repeat of the last part. Okay, crashing, golden wave, etc. Oh, this is different, though. Her eyes are on you and only you. Will you leave it all behind and follow me? You are ready. I'm being told that I am ready. Is there another... There are no new options aside from this. So let's hit it. It seems like they could maybe have not made me pay another 3 moments of inspiration. This could have just been tacked on to the end of the other thing. But alright, here we are, and we are ready. She smiles. You are ready. Follow me. She takes your hand, then beckons her attendants to follow her, the honey-eyed poets and the wild-eyed bacchantes and the dark-eyed musicians. She leads you behind her marble throne to where the sunlight is strongest, radiant as a newborn star. It pours from the blank white wall. The Thorn-Maiden walks forward and through the wall. You touch the wall to discover it is not cold marble, but glass, and then your hand passes through entirely. The heat of sunlight is on your hands. The cloying scent of roses is almost overwhelming. Wait a minute, am I remembering correctly that there's a room in Langley House that has like a skylight, like a glass roof, and you can see the sun through the glass roof? I theorized at the time, I think, that maybe that part of the house was like in the Reach or something before I think at that time maybe I didn't understand that the Reach also does not have a sun. But maybe whatever it's looking through, maybe that glass is like this glass and it's looking at whatever this is looking at. Okay. Heat of sunlight on your hands, cloying scent of roses, almost overwhelming. Of course I follow the Thorn-Maiden. I'm bloody ecstatic to be discovering whatever I'm discovering here. You stand in the garden beneath an amber sky. Wild roses cover arbors. Rose binders tend hedges. Larger shapes, akin to the devils but much longer and with many more limbs, assist them. The garden is bounded on all sides by a wood, whispering and verdant. Something slithers through the shadows. The Thorn-Maiden places her hand on your shoulder. No closer. We are permitted thus far and no further. Smell the roses. Enjoy the sunlight. I shall bring it home one day soon. Relaxed, hours later, she leads you back to the mirror, which sits in the heart of the garden. 2 crimson promises. I have 9 of them now. There is no way we are going to need 9 crimson promises. So we have pierced the heart of Caduceus and seen the garden behind the glass. I wonder... At first, when we saw larger shapes akin to the devils but longer and with many more limbs, at first I was wondering if they are spiders, right? Some kind of horrifying spider monster, because we're familiar with some horrifying spider monsters at this point. But horrifying spider monsters and suns don't seem to actually get along. It might not be the case that the thing in the White Well that we made our deal with isn't naturally opposed to all suns. It's just had a couple of bad run-ins, and then also we kind of pressed it into our service. Hard to know. The light fails, the roses sicken, wither, and are gone. And we're back on this side. And we have the ability to participate in the Rite of the Rose again. And we have pierced the heart of Caduceus and seen the garden behind the glass. I feel like at this point we know what's up. I'd be surprised if we could get any further with this. Can I just talk to her about the Rose Rites and get any more information now? Nope, she's still acting like I don't know what's up, like it's not safe to talk to me. Well, here's the thing. In order to get some of these moments of inspiration, I did spend like a bunch... we had a bunch of Eleutherian mysteries built up, and I was able to trade those for Visions of the Heavens in Pan, and then I used those Visions of the Heavens in... on the Griefer Bones to get our moments of inspiration, so it would not be as easy for me to get 3 more moments. So maybe this is lame, but at this point, I'm a little tired of flying around in the sky in Eleutheria. I might just go look up online whether or not there is anything further to see here. So, when we come back after the jump cut, you'll know as much as I do. So as you can probably tell from the fact that we are back in the Blue Kingdom, that was, in fact, all there is to see at Caduceus. I finally went and looked at the Sunless Skies wiki to verify that that was the case. It's pretty wild. It is not like most other video game wikis in the sense that there are no articles that were written by a person. It seems like it's just like directly the game tables just splatted straight onto a page. Informative, but a little bit hard to read at first. Anyway, I also completely failed to find Lord Langley's lost lover. My initial thought, the way he described the situation, was that this is a person that we would find at Carillon, but I spent some time poking around Carillon and had no luck whatsoever, so I really don't have any idea where to go with that, and I was not willing to look that one up. I'm trying to keep some legitimate experience of figuring the game out alive here. But basically, I think we've run out of other things to do. It's time to push forward the ambition and create the heart of our web. So we do, in fact, have an indulgence from the Sun's Daughter. Not actually that hard to get, Citizen Shore just sailed on up there to Death's Door, Had the body sliced open, the sense of pain replaced, gemstones in the eyes, you know, the whole deal. The only real difference between doing it with Shore and doing it with Sister Patel is that Shore wouldn't stop laughing the whole time. It's very unsettling for everybody. But we're back with that, and of course, our 10 selections of Immaculate Souls, not even half of my supply of selections of Immaculate Souls. Devils are professionals in the assessment, refinement, and sophistication of souls. As payment, they require a staggering number of Immaculate Souls and an indulgence of the Westernmost King. We have done those things. We have acquired all that stuff. It will take generations to prepare a suitable soul. A matter of nature, nurture, heritage, circumstances, character, history, environment, stellar exposure, and other rarefied considerations. The devil in charge of the work is very excited. You have commissioned a shining, intricate soul, a soul to catch the eye of a sun. Death's door should hurry to open for it. Trumpets should sound. The sun will take the soul for itself, and then the Spider Council's venom. But you're getting ahead of yourself. First, you will need a base of operations to suit you for the next 200 or 300 years. You should purchase quarters here at the Toll Tower. Can I just do that? We do have some indulgences of the feather. Also, why does the sun want the soul exactly? Have I missed part of the plan? It's just going to be such a good soul that the sun's going to be like, wow, let me have that one. Did they collect? I guess, okay. So here in the Blue Kingdom, man, maybe I'm just forgetting a piece of story that we definitely received on account of, playing an hour a day over the course of 3 months. But the souls are coming here for some reason. I guess the idea is that the Westernmost King, who is himself a star or a judgment, or however you want to phrase it, he's taken the souls for something. Do we know what? Do we know what they're doing with them? Do we know why? I have no idea. I do not remember. Anyway, who needs to know stuff? We're just after the truth is all. Let's purchase ourselves quarters at the Toll Tower, and then I assume we're going to have to use like a tremendous number of hours to make this whole situation work out if we want to actually get to be part of the plan. Your scheme with the Spider Senate necessitates a base of operations. Yep, okay, we read that text already. Let us secure a long-term lease. Your requirements are precise and include a provision that you will only be disturbed on 3 exact dates spread over the next 3 centuries. The devils do not require payment in coin, of course. Promises are more precious. Hey, look at that! We actually did end up needing one of our 9 Crimson Promises. You claim a chamber nestled in the tower's foundations. It will be comfortable enough, and has room for your possessions, the hour loom, and the enormous trove of hours that you will require to see your scheme to fruition. Yeah. In fact, it is time to turn your attentions to the latter. Soon you must cloister yourself from the world until you are required. You will need a modified hour loom and more time than you have ever seen to construct a gallery of eons. That's pretty cool, actually. Okay, so you'll need a very great number. You unlock this by not having years of accumulated time. We need a whole bunch of years of accumulated time. So to see your plans come to fruition, you must excuse yourself from the usual passage of time. You will need cutting-edge research, 1,000 sovereigns for the hour loom, no big deal, otherworldly artifacts to modify it, and about 300 hours of accumulated time. So barrels of unseasoned hours will be very helpful, it turns out. Well, I do have a lot of those. Your Gallery of Eons will need to sustain you for 3 centuries, give or take. The hour loom alone won't be enough. However, Devil's relationship, singular, with time is casual at best. As part of your lease agreement, the infernal residents of the Toll Tower have agreed to extend the benefits of that relationship to you, ensuring that each barrel of hours fed into the loom lasts even longer. Even accounting for their assistance, though, you're going to need a staggering amount of hours. So I do not have 300 barrels, that's for sure. So we could refine 10 barrels of hours with a Searing Enigma to get 30 barrels of hours worth out of them, but I don't actually know how many hours are in a barrel. Perform an experimental technique on 5 barrels of hours using a condemned experiment, which will triple the time we receive from them. Store 3 barrels of hours with an otherworldly artifact. Sometimes hours stored in the dark in the company of an artifact will inexplicably multiply. Perhaps they mate. Tell stories to a barrel of hours. It's probably an old wives' tale, but it's said that time spent in a story is time best spent. I basically agree with that, honestly. If you succeed, you will automatically get the best result 10 years from a single barrel of time. Okay, well, I mean, we definitely have some sky stories. Okay, so 10 barrels of raw hours would ordinarily provide us with 50 to 100 years. So, if we're assuming sort of a median value there, we're looking at 40 barrels of hours is going to get us to where we're going. We don't have 40. Hold on a second. What do we actually have? Let me go grab all of our barrels of hours out of the bank. They're certainly not hard to come by. We could go get an awful lot of them very easily. Okay, I have 24. I bet we can make this work right now. Okay, hold on. Let's bank all of the supplies and fuel here. Alright, I clicked too much. Okay. We'll just bank that. I'll keep 1 crate of supplies in the hold, just in case something weird happens. But this should be enough to make some stuff happen here. We need to contribute hours, and let's figure out how we want to do this. So how hard is the storytelling? Well, it turns out our hearts give us a 100% chance of success. So we want to do the tripling thing as much as possible. I have 3 Searing Enigmas, and honestly, Searing Enigmas are not that hard to acquire. We could, at the very worst, go back to Pan. This we are not guaranteed to succeed on. So let's spend our 3 Searing Enigmas now, maybe? Or maybe only 2, because sometimes, you know, who knows when we might suddenly need one. The toll tower quakes as you utter the word. The geodes glow red as cherries in the afterheat. Then they begin to crack like eggs. Spools of time unravel from them, licked by lingering flames. Okay, so we rolled 70 from our 50 to 100 that got tripled to 210. So we do not need to do that again. We are actually almost good. So then, if you fail at this, you'll still get time and a half. We do have 4 condemned experiments. I'm trying not to, like, overspend. We have 1 million... yeah, we just have, like, 1 million otherworldly artifacts. Let's just do this a couple of times, I guess. This should push us over pretty easily. You come back a day later and dig the artifact from the bottom of the barrel. It crumbles in your hand, eroded by the weight of years. Hey, that's a good way to get rid of them. When you crack one of the geodes open, you find it improbably fecund. Alright, so let's do that one more time, and that ought to get us there. 298. You jerk. Well, you know, the otherworldly artifacts had to get one last stab in at us. Okay, now we're over 300. I have accumulated the hours that I need, apparently. So, 3 more otherworldly artifacts, 1,000 sovereigns, not a big deal, and 1 condemned experiment for this. A little bit of cutting-edge research. You have the time loom constructed in a room adjacent to your chambers. Powered by the eerie properties of the otherworldly artifacts, it rattles and thrums, spinning a tight fold of time over the room. You can feel the hours pressing about you, thick as cotton wool. You have ensured your time here will be comfortable. There are well-provisioned bookshelves, a cozy fireplace, an armchair you could lose yourself in, a phonograph for when you're feeling modern, yep, that's the right word for that, and an infernally chic chaise lounge for when you're feeling louche. Everything is ready. Are you? Do I have a choice? It is time to kill a sun. This will conclude this captain's story and end the game. Do anything else you need to first. I'm gonna give this a moment's consideration. Alright, I thought about it. I think we're just gonna go ahead. Like, we could go back out and look for Lord Langley's lost love. There is still a little bit of plot hanging here and there that we could have advanced. We never did. figure out the whole deal with the bleak industrialists' lost love either. Turns out there's a lot of lost loves out in the sky. We never did do whatever it is the abstemious devil from Caroline wanted, but we have the momentum now. I mean, we may as well just keep going. And also, if I'm being honest, I'm about ready to be done. You know, we got a lot of game out of this game, but I think this would be an okay time to wrap it up. So, let us enter our gallery of eons. It is time to kill a sun. You dismiss your officers and crew. They can't follow where you're going. You give your engine to the first person that catches your eye at the station, a likely-looking sort with a star gleam in their eye. The devils of the toll tower gather, curiously, to bid you au revoir. See you in 70 years, one of them says. His tone is offhand, but you can practically hear the curiosity gnawing at him. You give him an enigmatic smile and close the door behind you. Time passes oddly in your gallery of hours. The loom thrums in the next room. The hours are taut and thin, like a bubble straining to pop. You read, you pace, you think. Outside, the decades pour by. 70 years pass. There is a knock at the door. An eyeless priest stands outside. Wordlessly, he hands you a copper box. You take it and close the door. Inside the box is a glass vial. It contains the elaborate poison a dozen spider councils have labored over for the last 70 years. It is so rarefied it is not liquid or vapor. It is a thought, scintillant and shivering behind the glass. Unstoppering the vial, you pour the venom notion into a silver teapot. The copper box was padded with newspaper to protect its contents. Curious, you unfold and flatten it. An article about recurring Albion-wide blackouts following the Great Malfunction. Speculation that the Parliament of the Reach is debating a declaration of war. An account of the arrival of the wintry ambassadors of a distant white star seeking an accord with London. I should mention, I forgot to mention, I did this a little while ago, though. While traveling around, I did accidentally knock the strength of the Clockwork Sun down to 0, and I flew over there to see if there was any kind of new option to interact with it, to disable it in any kind of permanent or meaningful way, or to blow it up or whatever, and no, there isn't. There's nothing you can do with it. It's a little bit of a shame. I guess maybe I can talk about this later, but the short version of the thought I'm having is, it's a shame that there's so little you can do to affect, actual meaningful, permanent change on the areas. You know, if you think about what we can do in the other parts of the game, it makes a lot of sense that we can't turn off or destroy the Clockwork Sun, but I do wish that you could have that kind of effect on things. Anyway, there's gonna be some more talking about the game later on. Let's just get through all this text here. By the way, this is definitely giving us a lot of insight into exactly what happened to the Martyr King. You return to your waiting. You have read all your books now. You have listened to your handful of phonograph cylinders. You consider learning the oboe, which you bought in a fit of optimism when furnishing the gallery. Outside, 30 more years hurry by. There is a second knock at the door. The oboe is a bad instrument to bring with you into a thing like this. I'm just you wouldn't want anything that has a reed, right? Because you're gonna run out of reeds. You should bring a flute. Anyway, 30 more years hurry by. We've now been in here for 100 years, and outside, the presiding Deviless of Caroline, accompanied by a demure shade with a brass-trimmed death mask. The Deviless sits primly on the edge of your chaise lounge. I think you will find everything to your satisfaction. I would describe this shade's soul as irresistible. Not fortifying, but fascinating. Exhilarating, even. The equivalent of Turkish delight, perhaps, rather than steak. You smile at the shade and reach for the silver teapot. Tea? The mother poison does not affect it at all as it drinks. The shade's mind cannot perceive or conceive the venom thought. That is as intended. The shade is not the victim, but the vector. I'm awfully curious about it. Let's examine it. The shade's naked soul is not visible, of course, nor would its virtues be apparent to you if it was. Yeah, I'm not a devil. Not yet, anyway. But you note its additional eyelids, arrayed one behind the other and only visible when it blinks in a distressing cascade. You note the many-jointed grace of its movements, the marble-smooth skin of its hands without follicle or fingerprint. When it has consumed the venom, you stand and bid your guests good day. They depart, and you return to your waiting. More of the pulled-tight time of the gallery passes, in which you take up the oboe, break the oboe over your knee in frustration, learn to repair oboes, and master the oboe. A calamitous century thunders by beyond. Then a note is pushed under your door. The handwriting is so improbably neat it could only be the work of a devil. Or our forged companion. It says, simply, the shade has passed beyond death's door. And that's it. You have moved each piece to its proper place. The rest of the work passes to someone, something else. Time is all you have left. There is no way to distract yourself now. You can only wait and fret and hope. This is the worst part of scheming, when you are reliant on other parties invisible to you doing their work. But eventually the time loom clatters its last. Your hours are spent. Another century or more has haunted the world outside, and it is time to claim your prize. If I'm being honest, I'm not 100% clear on what the plan is here exactly. Like, we create a perfect, irresistible soul, we slip the mind poison, we slip the thought poison into the soul. We send the soul beyond death's door, where it sounds like we believe the judgment in question here, the westernmost king, will eat it and become poisoned and die. But then what? I'm not, I feel way less connected to our ambition here than I did with either the Archivist or Sister Patel, and that may be because the writing itself is vague, but it also might be that there was not really any meaningful difference in the writing, and it's just that I was blazing through this one too quickly and not really spending enough time thinking about it. I don't know, but once the westernmost king is dead, what's the gain there? Where were we headed? I suppose killing the westernmost king would have some effect on death itself, right? He's the one who enforces that things must die. So maybe by slaying death, we have fulfilled Citizen Shore's initial desire in maybe even a grander way than they had hoped. Because certainly, this will make some difference to people. But we don't really know that the westernmost king is responsible for death happening so much as that he is responsible for what happens after you die. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if we're achieving it well. Alright, time to claim your prize. You push open the door to your gallery of eons. You climb the brass banistered stair. You emerge and look up at the broken ruin of the Blue Kingdom. Above, a web of incomprehensible vastness stretches across a quarter of all the sky. Strands are hung from star to star, smothering their light in jackets of strangling cobweb. The sun of the Blue Kingdom is a twitching, riven husk. You can see where the mother poison planted a seed deep within it, where the spiders grew and multiplied, feasting on its innards and its innermost secrets. When its skin split open, and a new spider senate spilled into the sky. The spider senate stirs in the recesses of the web. The strands dance. The captive stars quiver, helpless as flies. Wow! We may have made an error here. Although maybe this was exactly what Citizen Shore wanted? Welcome, spinner of the all-web, sub-regent in the Empire of Silk. Friend. A million spiders spin a soaring bridge, and you cross it to the gargantuan cobwebbed throne of the westernmost king. You sit, a tiny fleck upon its seat. Its authority is yours to wield. What will your royal name be now you are regent? Ooh, sub-regent in the Empire of Silk, it turns out. I would have thought that we would have a higher position here. I guess that really isn't what Citizen Shore was after. And you answer, All-Conqueror, Psychopomp, or I will have no name. Yo, this is, like, very thematically appropriate, right? We are certainly not an all-conqueror. Although, I suppose there's some element of that. We probably are not across a very thick line from that one. The first and only act you will take as regent will be to cast open the doors to your realm. Yeah, Citizen Shore, unbelievable, terrifying monster, still absolutely convinced they're doing the right thing, absolutely convinced that they're here to help, that everything they've done was good and helpful. That makes a lot of sense, a lot of really deeply terrifying and upsetting sense. The old laws need not stand. Let the walls between life and death be torn down. In your domain, the dead will be free to return to their life, and the living free to depart. All will be welcome, and all will be free. The suns will be horrified. The Spider Senate seethes in glee. Your legacy has gained an heirloom, a terrible secret. So any character that we played from here would be played during that, like, this character has entered, Citizen Shore has entered the Gallery of Hours, and all of our future characters would take place during that first 70-year period. So it's not like we would get to see any of this stuff actually play out. But that's, I mean, Citizen Shore set out with a vague idea that with the kind of power that Sister Patel had unlocked an understanding of, they could together change something fundamental about the suffering that everyone in the sky goes through, but especially, you know, the people who suffer most, which is to say, not the powerful people. Sister Patel obviously didn't want any part of it. She had her own things in mind. But, I mean, it's sort of, Citizen Shore sort of succeeded beyond their wildest possible dreams. And in the end, like, slowly, piece by piece, renounced every part of the person that they were, which was both a way of escaping the pain and suffering that they had been enduring, that had driven them onto the engine in the first place, but also a way of becoming something beyond the weak person, so that they could do something like this, something of a scale and incomprehensibility that would be truly meaningful, like actual change, all capital letters. That's messed up. We kind of destroyed the universe a little bit, and we definitely did something really horrifying. Like, the great vast web spanning the stars is... that's an image. But I think we did help. I think we did help. That's wild, man. That's quite an ending. Also, it's been renaming our train every time we pass it down. I haven't bothered to change it at all. Yeah, obviously, we're actually done. I'm curious a little bit here. Hold on. We're going to jump into the next character creation. And we're just gonna absolutely pick stuff at... yeah, random captain. Give me that, because I'm curious about the heirloom. That is an option... oh, maybe it does not make a, maybe it doesn't create a facet. I assumed that it would, because we have the Song of the Sky facet, we had the Quester in your lineage... okay, I mean, mostly I was just curious, like, what the hold on, let's close this. Is the... okay, here we go, an heirloom. Passed down from captain to captain, your lineage knows the hypocrisy of the heavens, that the stars are at war. I almost wonder if the overall arc of our lineage, of the series as a whole, would have been better if we had done Truth second, and had Sister Patel's story last. I don't know. I'm not going to bother thinking about this anymore for the moment. What I'm going to do right now is say thank you all so much for watching. We are out of time for today. That is going to be the end of this episode. Come back next time. There's going to be one more. I want to talk about my thoughts about the game, because this experience was really something. It is not what I thought we were going to be doing here. When I started the series, I was like, okay, this will be good for like 10 or 15 episodes, and we'll move on to something else quickly. But it has had more of an effect on me than that, so I want to gather my thoughts before I can talk about them, though, so that's why it has to be a separate episode. Come back next time. It might not be tomorrow, but it will be soon. And we'll see you then.